Speaker of the House Mike Johnson tells Joe Biden no on Ukraine funding. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to UnwokeThoughts. Today we are talking about this Ukraine funding bill that Mike Johnson has told Joe Biden that he was not going to even consider until they came up with some sort of solution for the border. Now, my personal take on this, I'm not a big fan of foreign aid. I think we spend way too much money on different countries, especially considering the fact that the United States is in its position that it is right now with the border wide open. We have a crumbling infrastructure. We have a drug problem. We have homelessness. Our veterans are not taken care of. Fentanyl. You look at all these things. Why is foreign aid even on the table? And the fact that Mike Johnson is even considering this bill, even after we address the border problem, to me, is not really a good idea. But at the very least, he is standing up against this bill and saying that he's not going to even consider it until we do something about our border. But watch.
Thank you. Thank you all for staying. We had a couple of meetings there. It was frank and honest. I think we need more frank and honest conversations on Capitol Hill. So I was happy to participate in this. We did that as a group, and then I had a one-on-one for a period of time with the president, just he and I in the Oval Office. Let me say this. When I showed up today, my purpose was to express what I believe is the obvious truth, and that is that we must take care of America's needs first. When you talk about America's needs, you have to talk first about our open border. I've been, I believe, in maybe 20-something states over the last several weeks, going around the country, appearing at events with my colleagues, and we're hearing from the American people of all parties and all persuasions in all cities and all states who feel this acutely. They understand the catastrophe at the border is affecting everyone. And it is top of mind for all the American people for that reason. So I brought that issue up repeatedly today in that room and again one-on-one with the president. I think that's our responsibility to bring that up. The other big priority for our country, of course, is the funding of our government. And we have been working in good faith around the clock every single day for months and weeks and over the last several days, quite literally around the clock, to get that job done. We're very optimistic. I hope that the other leaders came out here and told you the same. We believe that we can get to agreement on these issues and prevent a government shutdown, and that's our first responsibility. You also heard, I'm sure, that there was discussion about the supplemental spending package, and I was very clear with the president and all those in the room that the House is actively pursuing and investigating all the various options on that, and we will address that in a timely manner. But again, the first priority of the country is our border and making sure it's secure. I believe the president can take executive authority right now today to change that. And I told him that again today in person, as I've said to him many times, publicly and privately over the last several weeks. It's time for action. It is a catastrophe, and it must stop. And we will get the government funded, and we'll keep working on that. So we'll have more for you soon.
Shut it down. Shut it down. Oh, okay. Guys, so apparently there's another government shutdown looming, and we all know what happens when there is a potential government shutdown. All of a sudden, all of our leaders, all of our representatives, the government, Washington, D.C., all of a sudden start screaming about the fact that, oh no, there's going to be another government shutdown. We must act right now. We must act quickly. To which I say, you know what? How about we just give the government a break for a little bit? How about that? I think the government has just worked so hard over the past few years, and they deserve a nice little shutdown. And also, Speaker Johnson, I think this is a great moment to use as leverage against the Democrats. Now that you have their attention every single time this happens, there's a government shutdown, they always try to put it on you, the Republicans. Well, how about we just turn that around and say, listen, we will address the government shutdown right after we address the situation on our border. The number one issue that we are facing right now, our wide open border. How about we do that? Why is it always the Republicans' fault whenever there are rumors of a government shutdown? And why do we never use that as leverage? It absolutely confounds me. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I always chalk it up to the Republicans just not having any backbone, but maybe I'm a little bit naive. And of course, Democrats are not too happy with Mike Johnson for stalling their efforts to send another $60 billion in aid to Ukraine. They are so unhappy, in fact, that they are threatening Mike Johnson. They're getting desperate. This is Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who on Tuesday told reporters that he tried to guilt House Speaker Mike Johnson into allowing a vote on the package in his chamber. Listen to this.
And so we said to the Speaker, get it done. I told him this is one of the moments, I said, I've been around here a long time. It's maybe 4 or 5 times that history is looking over your shoulder. And if you don't do the right thing, whatever the immediate politics are, you will regret it. I told him 2 years from now and every year after that. Because really, it's in his hands. It's in his hands. We told him how important it was. It was passionate. I talked about my trip to Ukraine, where I met soldiers who had Russian artillery in range with the drones they have, but had no ammunition to fire at them. We talked about 4 brigades who were ready to go, Ukrainian, no arms, and how serious the lack of arms was. And it was the consensus in that room: Zelensky and Ukraine will lose the war if we don't get the arms and don't get them quickly.
Wow, how interesting. So that sounds like a threat, doesn't it? You will regret it. History is looking over your shoulder, Mike Johnson. And I think it's interesting how he found it necessary to inject in there how passionate he was about this. And I thought to myself, it'd be very nice if our leaders showed equal passion for fixing the problems in our own country. But I guess that's just too much to ask. Our country, of course, apparently just does not deserve the same consideration as a foreign country that we barely even know about, a country that we must protect democracy in and that we must defend from the big bad wolf Vladimir Putin and Russia. But Mike Johnson is facing it from all sides, even the big guy. Yes, 10% for the big guy. I wonder if he's getting a cut of this $60 billion. It wouldn't surprise me. But Joe Biden came out and he begged Mike Johnson in the House of Representatives to pass this bill because it is so urgent. This funding for Ukraine is so urgent. Listen to this.
Let me be clear. The House of Representatives must pass the bipartisan national security bill. The bill provides urgent funding for Ukraine, and it passed overwhelmingly in the Senate. And there's no question, none. If the Speaker called for a vote in the House, it would pass easily today.
Do you guys notice that every time Joe Biden tries to convince people that something needs to be done so urgently, he starts it out with, let me be clear. Let me be clear. We must provide this urgent funding to Ukraine. It's very, very important. It passed overwhelmingly in the Senate, and it must pass the House. Wow. How convincing, Joe Biden. I'm convinced. Yes, let's pass this $60 billion. Yes, let's do it right now. But surprise, surprise, we have some traitors in our midst. This is GOP Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, who says he will join the Democrats to force a vote on the Ukraine bill. Yes, we have some Republicans in the House who are not putting America first, who are in fact considering Ukraine before they consider their own country. I'm not surprised. Are you? But watch this.
I'm sensitive right now. Diva fell because of the shortage of artillery.
You certainly have the resolve, I should say, but we also hear from other Republicans who have resolve, but from a different perspective. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene who say Ukraine aid is not getting a vote on the floor. If the Speaker doesn't bring it, are you going to join with Democrats to force a vote on your bill?
We will find a way to get this to the floor. Mark my words.
You're confident?
I am. There's a 2-vote margin. We all represent roughly 800,000 people. Everyone gets to be a voice for their constituents. The good people in my hometown of Bucks and Montgomery counties believe in supporting Ukraine, supporting democracy, supporting freedom, opposing dictatorships. And we will reflect that voice on the floor of the House. And, I'm one of 435. Caitlin, so I can't, steer the ship completely on my own. But part of what I'm doing is building a coalition with my bill, the Defending Borders, Defending Democracies Act. It is equally bipartisan. It addresses border security for our own nation to stop the deadly flow of fentanyl that's killing our kids. And it also deals with Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, all freedom-loving democracies that have been invaded either by communist dictators or terrorists. And borders and democracies are interlinked. They're interchangeable. They stand side by side. And that's the theme of our bill. And that's why it's equally bipartisan.
Wow. What incredible resolve Brian Fitzpatrick is showing in his efforts to fund Ukraine. It'd be nice if our representatives showed equal resolve in their efforts to fix our problems in this country, in the country that they are supposed to represent. But you know what? I guess that is just too much to ask because at the end of the day, it always seems like the number one issues that come before the House, that come before the Senate, are always issues that deal with other countries that we barely even know about. Most of you have probably never even been to, but they set up this dichotomy that, you know what, we must oppose dictatorships. We must oppose the big bad wolves of Vladimir Putin and Russia, and we must support democracy. This is always the script that they use, and it never changes. It is the vicious cycle. But what do you guys think? What do you think about Mike Johnson telling Joe Biden that he will not consider this Ukraine bill until they come up with some solutions on the border? What do you think about Chuck Schumer threatening Mike Johnson and saying how passionate he is about passing this bill? And what do you think about our traitor GOP representative, Brian Fitzpatrick? What do you think about this fella? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until then, I will see you on the next one.